The Antichrist targets times and laws. The Sabbath is the first bullseye. The Bible is clear. In Daniel 7:25, a terrifying prophecy is given, and he shall think to change times and laws. Not just any laws, God's laws. Not just any times, God's appointed times. And history proves the first target was the Sabbath. Heaven's weekly seal, Earth's weekly reminder of the Creator. This prophecy isn't speaking of a secular dictator. It's talking about a religious power, one that rises from the ruins of Rome, one that claims to represent God but speaks great words against him, one that doesn't destroy the law with bombs, but with decrees, not with violence, but with tradition. And what's the first law it dares to touch? The only commandment that begins with remember, the only one tied directly to time, the only one that reveals who the true God is. The fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. The Antichrist doesn't erase murder. It doesn't abolish adultery. It doesn't encourage theft. It goes after the very sign between God and his people. Exodus 31:13 says, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. The Sabbath is a seal, God's claim of ownership over time, creation, and worship. So of course it's the first target, because if you can replace the day of worship, you can redirect the object of worship. If you can switch the seventh day for the first, you've just dethroned God and replaced him with man. That's what the Antichrist power has done. In AD 321, Emperor Constantine issued the first Sunday law, not to honor Christ, but to unite pagans and Christians under the venerable day of the sun. He changed the time. Then, centuries later, the Roman Catholic Church changed the law. They boast about it. In their own words, the Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. Let that sink in. They claim the authority to change God's law, and the world, including Protestants, has followed. This is the great deception Jesus warned about. In Matthew 24:24, he said, For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. How? By changing the day of worship, by making Sunday the counterfeit Sabbath, by convincing the masses that tradition is greater than truth. Revelation 13 shows us a beast power forcing the world to worship in a way God never commanded. And what is the issue in Revelation 14:12? Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. The final battle is not just about belief. It's about obedience. It's about worship. It's about who has your allegiance. And the Sabbath is the test, not because it's harder to keep, but because it draws a line in the sand. It's the one commandment most Christians have abandoned, not because God changed it, but because man did. So, to every pastor who says the day doesn't matter, tell that to Daniel, who saw a power rise that would think to change times and laws. To every priest who promotes Sunday, answer why your own church claims credit for that change. To every skeptic, imam, or non-believer who points to the confusion in Christianity, you're not wrong. The Antichrist has done exactly what was prophesied, but prophecy also speaks of a remnant, a people who keep the commandments, who reject the counterfeit, who worship the Creator, not the creature. The Sabbath was heaven's first target because it proves who God is. Now it's your turn to decide. Will you follow the law of God or the deception of the beast?